Alright, so welcome back to another video. Today we're going to work on a notes application using Flask. And then, yes, I'm going back. First of all, a few things I want to say is thanks for reaching 40 subscribers. It's a miracle I did get here. So since I promised you guys that I will start to work on your guys like the 30 sub special form, I'm actually take a look at the documentation right now, and I'm planning to do a live stream about making things. Since one of these are really interesting is actually all of them are interesting, but a few like notable one are like making a live stream YouTube bot. I really want to implement that. I actually wonder like how Streamlabs excuse me, how these bots works, and then it's gonna be really fun to implement that. And another is about sessions. So what I would do is probably open a Google Meet or just stream on YouTube, or so we can talk about it in detail. I will contact by email, so make sure to check your email if you submit the form. Of course, you can still submit right now as well. And then also, sorry for not publishing video recently. That's because my my school is started again, and then I found a part-time job it's paid. So sorry I didn't really active on YouTube for the past weeks. Hopefully YouTube algorithm didn't bring me back to like when I get started to YouTube, but it's all fine. All right, and then the final thing is I don't like after I tried, excuse me for my phone. After I tried like Node.js, I still don't like it. I like Flask much more, probably because that's the first framework I learned. So we'll go back and then build another Flask app together. But the difference is we're actually going to do two more features that I'm going to implement. Is how to using Google OAuth. Recall that we used GitHub OAuth before. Now we're going to talk about Google OAuth. In case you don't know OAuth, it's OAuth syndication. Basically, it's going to enable you to log in with third parties, such as Google. And another thing I want to talk about is how to build our own OAuth server. Where in this case, since it's small, it's just going to be a new route within this application, because eventually I want to expand to I want to try different as like Electron, maybe Java, maybe React Native, or just using Java or Swift, because we can use this API to build all kind of stuff. So this is more like a really simple app, but we can expand it to all kind of places. Alright, so this is the first video in the series. I already wasted you guys 3 minutes. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the functionality first. This is how the screen looks like. And then if I want to, I can click on this login with Google icon. Or button, sorry. And then I can just choose this one. This is my, you can see it said choose an account, continue to Node app. I can choose my Gmail account. Let's go. And then what you can see is it's going to redirect you to this page, which is something like this. You don't have any note created. Why don't you create one? So sure, let me just create a note. And then in here, I could say something like title a demo, notes, demo, and then public. And then I have different statuses I can choose. I can choose, for example, public, unlisted, private, just how YouTube video works. Public is searchable, unlisted is not searchable. You have to give a URL to somebody, and then private is completely unsearchable and unshareable. And then for the avatar, what I will do is I will actually save my profile image right now. I'll just save this if possible. Alright, now you can see I get this downloaded, and then I can just upload this. This is basically like an image. So basically like you can like a thumbnail basically, and then I can just drag it to upload. Okay, for some reason it's not working. Okay, sorry about that. My computer's a little bit laggy when I try to record using OBS. So if you could just give me a second, I will go ahead and open up this. All right here, and then go ahead upload my profile picture here, and then in here. Oh yeah, and we're actually using Amazon Web Service as well, or S3 for like dealing with this file processing, like this image. So here you can just say, and then this is a CK editor. So basically, it's like basically you can see it's like a fully fledged rich text editor. I can just say hello world here, and then let me click on publish. And then you can see going to have random code generated appended. In this case, it's just like a YouTube video, to be honest. But like you can see, we got something here. And then if I click on here, I can click on click on this note app. Okay. And then you can see this is like how note look like. I can read it. I can delete it. I can edit it. Let me just so like you can edit this. I'm not actually gonna like actually type this out, but I can also search a note. For example, if I just type demo here for searching purpose, you can see you got a demo image here. And then click it, obviously can bring me to read it. And then I can also click on author, and this is like all the public notes are viewable. And this is something we can do. And then there are also a OAuth application, something like this. And then we'll talk about how like some like OAuth, how to use that OAuth, this application later. But for today's video, what we'll do is we'll start by building the Google OAuth system. Hope you're excited. And then the first thing first is in case you want to using any Google APIs, generally you need to go to this web page, this website. It's called console.cloud.google.com. All right, console.cloud.google.com. And then maybe not immediately you will not see this page looks like because like it automatically had my most recent app created directly on my dashboard. So if I just wait it for load for just a few seconds. Take a while to load. All right, there we go. Apology for the delays because like my computer really laggy when I have OBS Studio open up. Again, by the way, if you guys know like a better screen recording system, please like let me know. All right, so then what you can do once you are in this page is I believe you can click on this three hyphen. If you click on it. And then you should be able, oops, I don't think that's the one. Probably need to click on here. I'm not sure, but it should be somewhere like you could click on, like you could click on this new project. And you could create a new project. And then I only have 8 projects left, so I'm just gonna say demo. And then click on create. And then let's just wait a second. And then we can just open up this project here. And then what you can do is click on this 3 hyphen. And then we will go ahead and choose APN services. And then we'll go down to credentials. And then let's see. We are going to go ahead and create a credential. So we'll go ahead and create an OAuth client ID. This is how we can actually use Google's OAuth services. And then okay, let's conset the screen first. And then to make it simple, it's going to be external. And then usually external requires some verification if you meet some condition. In this case, you're just gonna say note app. I'm now gonna upload a file. Okay. Okay. And then I'm not gonna add any of these. You know what? Just say 1.7.0.0.1:5000, just in case. Alright, I don't think this is necessary anyway. But alright, so that's the consent screen. And then in the credentials, I believe we could create a new credential now, OAuth client ID. And then, yeah, and then it's a web application. Maybe we can just say Google OAuth. And then let's see. We'll go ahead add an authorized origin, which is just gonna be this. And then we're also going to add a redirected URI, which basically means if the user actually agreed and then click on a few buttons, and then where should your user be redirected to? And then, because this, I need to check my code really quick. Okay, it's /authorized. So these are different routes. By the way, if you're completely new to Flask, don't be worried. This is actually a beginner-friendly tutorial. Sorry I forgot to mention that earlier, but this is actually a beginner-friendly video. So we're gonna go grounds up. As long as you have some Python knowledge, it's all good. All right, so here is my client ID and client secret. You just see it. Don't be worried. I will delete this after I finish recording these tutorials or stuff like that. But now we got our client ID. And then what we want to do is we want to go ahead and create a new application. So to make me seem really smart, what I will just do is I will go ahead and show you guys my terminal right here. All right, and then in here, we're just gonna say cleared, and let's just make a directory. Let's call this Note app, and then let's just open up this in Visual Studio Code. Oops, oh, okay, no module here. All right, and then I see a Visual Studio Code screen pops up. By the way, I'm still really rusty on using Visual Studio Code, so all of them seems really bad. So sorry about that. I'm really rusty on Visual Studio. I mean on the OBS Studio, which I'm currently using. And then in here, I'm just going to choose this. All right, there we go. See this? All right, so now what I will do is I will go ahead and first create a Python file. Usually it's just going to be app.py to keep it simple. So this is a Python file. And let's go ahead and give it a sec. And then you can see we got this app.py here. All right. And then what we'll do is you need to make sure you get all the dependencies, which as of now we just need Flask. So in here, we can click on a terminal, create a new terminal here. And then what you can type is assume you have pip installed, which should become with your after you install Python. And then you should be able to type pip or pip3. You can say pip install Flask and then press enter. And it should go through all the process for you. Since I already installed, I'm not gonna bother to reinstall it. And in here, the first line you will type is from Flask import capitalized Flask, F capitalized. Let's see, from Flask, import Flask. And then this is basically we're importing a module that we're going to use later. And in here, we need to go initialize a new Flask class. So the Flask application know, okay, where to listen all different commands as Flask support us. So here, just type capitalize Flask __ name __. And then this just going to basically refer to the current module. current module we are in. This is just like a really common, it's the lowercase again. This is a really common way to initialize a new Flask application. Otherwise, installing C# dependencies. And then in here, we'll just go ahead and we're done basically. We set up our first Flask application. And in here, we'll go ahead to do is we'll define two constant variable. And then it's going to be client ID and client secret. So in here, just say Google client ID. The reason we create these like Google client ID is because later we can use it in the environment variable. So like they can't not steal the credential from us. So in here we could do something like this. Okay. It's super laggy right now for some reason. I apologize for that. Alright, there we go. So now you can see got like Google type, and then notice that I'm typing all caps. That's because it usually represents a constant variable, which means it's not going to change really. So like this not going to change. And then we can just like give it a little bit more time. It's really take a long time to load. I really hope I can get this. Alright, so now in here, type Google client ID, which I successfully typed them in all lowercase. Client ID, and in here just gonna give a string, and then you can paste your client ID there. And then I'm just gonna say Google client secret equals this. And then notice that you can put your like basically like your Google client ID and then Google client secret here. And then what we'll go ahead and do is we'll go ahead and write the following. And then we'll go ahead and start to do like actual authentication. So before I talk about that, I want to briefly talk about how how Google actually handles this OAuth process. So Google handling this OAuth process, just like other scenarios, but it's much more stricter. So like recall that when we implement our GitHub OAuth, we can like try to redirect them to different redirect URI, as long as the domain and the port are the same. However, we cannot do that in when we're doing the Google OAuth, and then we have to provide a specific scope. The scope, so like what information do you want from the user? And in here, what we could type is something like this. And then we're just gonna keep it simple. So now you are wondering, how can I start really like to start to add different route? So Flask has really been on the ideas of route. So for example, a route just gonna be like 127.0.0.1:5000, and this is like a standard, like a local host Flask will run on, and then going to give you a slash, and then after the slash is like basically the route. And then we could implement a different route by using this decorator at app.route. And then here I'm just gonna say /login. And then I could define a login here. And then we'll go ahead and say something like this. And then we're actually going to we're actually gonna need other module from this Flask as well. So like session request. And in here, what I can say is something like this. Define login, and then we'll say if request.args.get session. And in here, I would just say session bracket next equals to request Whoops, it's next, it's not session, sorry about that. I'll explain what are these code doing just a little bit. And then basically what's happening here is we're going to be able to get like different parameters, different get parameter. So basically we can provide a get. So basically you can see this is a query string. And then something like, for example, usually when you try login, and then if you say, okay, must log in before visit this page, they might prompt you to something like this. /login question mark next equals to the route that you want to be redirected to, basically. And then this is basically means that if we actually have this next parameter, where if this, we know we want to redirect user to a certain route, we'll do that. We'll do that instead of just redirect them to the home page by default. And then session is just a way to keep track of sort of like a cookies, or like a session is for each individual user. And then basically we just store it in the session so we know, or we can redirect later. And then here's how it's gonna work. Here is where we'll redirect. We're actually going to say redirect here as well. So we're gonna input redirect. And then redirect, the point for having redirect is literally going to do what it's supposed to say. Is it's going to like literally just redirect them to a certain place, basically to an external URL, you can imagine. And then here we could just say something like this: return redirect. And then we're going to use an F string. An F string basically means you can embed Python expression instead of it. And I'm just gonna copy this, which the code going to be available on GitHub, which I will put the GitHub link in the description below. But here's how it's supposed to look like, because it's really a lot of stuff here, a lot of stuff. But you can see we try to get a scope. Scope basically like the basic profile information that a user can get. And then another important is like redirect is authorized. And the purpose for using this F string is because we can embed the Google Client ID instead of the string, which is supposed to be here. All right. So then after the user visits this route, they're gonna prompt to a consent screen, basically like the screen choose your account, blah blah blah, and then they're gonna be redirected back to this authorized page. And then since we're almost running out of the time, what we'll do first is we're also going to install another dependency that's called requests. It's using to get external data. And then we're just gonna install that as well. All right, and then after that, we're just going to say import requests. Sometimes you'll see from somewhere import something, and sometimes you just say import something. And then the difference is there's really no practical difference. You're still importing like everything, but this just specify like I want to implement these 4 functions /module from this package, where this just means I want to import everything. All right. And in here, I could just say add app.route. And then we're going to say go ahead implement the callback. So like authorized. And then define authorized. And then in here, we will go ahead and something. And then after we get this, the Google prompt apps back to here, it's actually going to provide a sort of like a code that we can get a token from. We can get a token, and you can use the token to like access token to access different API with like the user's information. So in here, what we could do is something like this: define authorized, and in here, just going to say r equals requests. So in order to get the access token, we need to submit a post request to this specific URL called https OAuth2.googleapis.com /token. And here provide some data, We'll provide some data. And then basically the client ID is going to be the Google client ID. All right. Well, the VS Code just gets stuck again. Sorry about that. The OAuthing process is a little bit complicated. All right. Client ID. I don't know how to get rid of this like spaces or something. But yeah, we got client ID, and then we are going to provide client secret to be able to get the access token. Recall client secret will also define a bold right there. So Google client secret. And then in here also provide the code that we got. The code is going to append as a query selector, so it's just going to say something like code equals to blah 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 something, and then you can get this code easily just like this. And say request .args.get code, and then we can say grant type. So just some Google stuff. Grant type is going to be code, and then the redirect URI, which is going to be the redirect here, which is here, and then just go say print. And then just for the sake of simplicity, and then since we're running out of the time, we'll just take a look what's happened in the JSON format. It's most likely going to return us a JSON format. And to run a Flask app, you can just type Flask run in your terminal, and that should start a Flask app for you. Whoops, the address is already in use. That's because I didn't quit this demo server yet, the demo one. All right, let's try to run this again. And then let's try to run this again. All right, so now let me go ahead and share my screen. Now share my screen. I'm apparently using too much zoom. Okay. Everything is not in my favor today, at least in time when I should record this video, because everything's stuck for some reason. All right, so now I'm just gonna share the screen. Okay, and that's just gonna be this. All right, so really huge. Let me just resize it a little bit. All right. I cannot see the whole thing. Sorry about that. But by default, what you can do is you can actually go to this URL 127.0.0.1:5000. Yes. And then you should see this 404 not found because we didn't implement the index route, which is just basically like a slash. But in here, you can just say slash login. Actually, before that, what we'll do is actually need to substitute my Google client ID and client secret in. So let me go ahead and paste them in as well. And then we can go ahead and go to, and then see what will look like basically. All right, so I'm trying to find my client secret. It's kind of like really slow right now, so I apologize for that. And then here, let me just paste it. And then Google's client ID is one of the most interesting one. It's actually a specific, like a link or something. Not sure that visit. Alright. Alright, so now if I try to go ahead and go to the /login route, which then you can see it prompts you to here to sign in with your Google account. And then in this case, I can just click on this, click on my account. And then, which then we should see something like this, invalid granted type. Whoops. Okay, I probably put the wrong grant type here. Oh, shoot. It's not code, it's authorization code. Really sorry about that. It's authorization code. So in the grant type, which is in the login route, but I think I should, if I refresh, and then let me restart the server really quick, which then we could see is something like this. And then you can see we have this access token. That's later we can get the user's information. In this case, it's just in the profile. And then we got this ID token, the refresh token, which we're not going to really worry about. And then I got the scope, that's what we can use this. Well, that's it for this tutorial. I really hope you enjoyed this. Sorry for making it a little bit too long again, but thanks for watching this video. If you like it, please make sure you subscribe, leave a like, or leave a comment. Some links into the description if you want to check it out. And thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.